The Japan tour was one of those experiences that you know, I really enjoyed. We went to different places, of course, and based on the number of activities that we did, talk about performances, talk about the cultural experience, talk about the food, talk about the interaction that they had with the other students and the people in Japan. I think that was something very new, not only to the students but also to me.
It was like going back to my home and then sharing that culture, that where I came from, with my students. And then like everything was new for them, like they've never been to any Asian countries, most of them. So everything was just new to them, keeping time, be it visiting and greeting people, how to get along with new culture, and how to get onto the train, how to, you know, find their way around and everything. So I think for them, they really had to learn quickly, and in a span of like a week, they had to learn all these things and adjust. But I was so impressed with them, each and every single one of my students, because they took it like really positively and they stood up for the challenge. Some of them were just racing against elderly people on the train to sit.
Very impressive thing that I noticed along the way, right from the day we arrived to the day we left. The kids grew, and they actually learned to change stations. They knew, they could count, and they could listen out for announcements. We grouped them together in, say, groups of 5 or 6, and they would wait for the train to come and be pushed into the train and try and get in as a team and get off at the correct place. So, which was a really good thing that they learned. Life lessons, life skills. And I think that's something that we are teaching in TURI, and of course, application is much more important at this point.
Performance we had, they were all of a sudden put in this university grand hall, which can accommodate 1,000 audience. And at first they were so scared and they didn't know what to do, and they found all these university and high school students, they were like much better instrumentalists than them. So they really freaked out, and they were not like their usual selves. They were like quiet, and then they were polite and everything. But then when the stage started and they were told to just have fun, enjoy, now they put on their lessons, African shukas, and then they went and danced and danced and danced, and that brought to Japanese people, that brought something different, completely different, that they didn't have in their culture. So the real interaction of culture took place, and I think we learned from each other. Like our kids learned that how they practice so hard and they are really good at their performances. But then on the Japanese side, they learned to really enjoy music and live music, perform and dance and all that. Yeah, so I think it was really good performance that we had.
Studio Japan, and they experienced the Tokyo Dome amusement park. I think that was one thing that was really good for them.
There was this shopping mall that was across the road from across the railway from our accommodation, and they went there, and then they were so impressed. They were like, it was just one of the local shopping mall that is not like particularly big or anything, but then to them it was like the biggest shopping mall that they would ever see in life, and they said this is bigger than the biggest shopping mall in Africa. So they started taking group photo and started the gathering and everything. So and then just no more customers who were visiting that shopping mall. They were just wondering what was going on, like with all these Africans in just one place all of a sudden. So they started staring, and they wanted to take picture with some of us. So like we became like sightseeing spot ourselves, like everywhere we went, and people just wondering what's going on, what company is this, what group is this.
In terms of food, they were very particular about what they were eating. They did not want to try out new things. They were busy looking for McD's, and they're looking for KFC and Starbucks, and those brands that everybody knows. But then, interesting enough, towards the end, they learned to accommodate the culture, the meals, and even the use of chopsticks.
The first concert, we are in a neighborhood called Karasaki.
We got to meet people in churches, where you had an opportunity, we had an opportunity to not only minister to them, but also touch their lives. Because I know for sure there are some who wrote back and said how eye-opening those concerts were, and how wonderful the experience was for them. So that was really good.
They are also able to interact with Christians from Japan and to just see the different aspects, playing games with them, laughing around with them. And some of them were showing us many things that we had no clue. For example, making the rice cakes. And we realized that faith precedes borders. It goes beyond borders.
These churches, some of the churches, they prepare rice cake to celebrate Easter. So they were invited to pound on this rice cake, and in a big bowl that is made of stone, they have this wooden stick, and then you put special rice that is used to make for rice cake. That it's like a sticky kind of rice. So they were invited to pound on them, and then some of our children were like really afraid at first, like they were like shy, and then they didn't bring out now this African in them. They were just like so politely, like choo, choo. and then they were told, no, you have to pound it. You can't make rice cake if you're doing like this. So eventually they went wah, wah. Much fun interacting, and then they also prepared like Japanese traditional games, and there were different stations they could go around and try out those different games. And there's one called kendama, which is made of stick, and then a ball that is made of wood. Then they were like connected with a string. So there are different skills that you can put this ball on a big plate, a small plate, and then there's a place like pointed end where you sit on that ball on top of that. And then so there are different skills according to the difficulties. So they really enjoyed trying it out, and the easiest one took them like 15 or 20 minutes to master, and some of them they never did. I told them, your spirit has to be calm, and you have to be still, and then do it because they were shaking and moving around, and they just had so much fun in it.
One of the things that stood out during the tour, especially from the Christian point of view, is that Christianity is not the major religion in Japan, but the Christians who are there take their faith very seriously. People really love the faith, and also for them what they are able to say and they loved is how we were able to sing for the Lord with all our might and with all our strength, and they really loved that because many of them are very reserved, but they saw the joy in which people sang the songs of faith to God, and they really loved that. There are many people who have come to Christ in over at the tour, and I remember one lady was so thankful that we were able to share with them and tell them that they did not come by chance. They were not just something that was a freak event of nature, and that's what was the cause of coming to God, or rather that was the cause of their life. And their life really does mean something, and there is much more after death. And so we need to continue to share this. And I believe the students themselves also grow in that part of the tour. And I pray that we continue to just share that in more and more tours. Let the tour not just be academic, but let it all the ethos of the school, let all parts of what we stand for in St. Andrews stand and be in our tours. And I believe the Japan tour was able to bring that.